Okay, welcome back, watchers and listeners, to our La La Land episode.
Woo!
I am your host, Natalie Brigroff, and
I am Garrett Christopherson. We're still waking up a little bit. We've never
it's
recorded this early before on a
yeah,
Monday, so
yeah. It's we've never really. Oh, I guess last time we recorded on Monday, but we've been off
oh yeah.
schedule, so we need to get
hmm
back into our groove. But all is well. We're just waking up.
Natalie's in a new location.
Yeah, I'm at my home. In case you're watching on YouTube, I got Optimus Prime here. There's Darth Vader over there. This is our home theater. So if you're wondering where our love for movies is, it comes from the home, right, Garrett? You're in
hmm
your home theater.
Exactly. We're both in our parents' home theaters right now.
Okay, but let's get into the movie. We chose La La Land. We have a couple fun segments to do. The first one is, if you had a jazz club, Garrett, what would it be called?
Just like Seb's. I would probably call it G's.
I was gonna say you're gonna say G's.
Yeah. There's a very
Nice,
clear
nice.
answer for me there. I don't really know what else I could give. give. Um, But I think in terms of what type of jazz would be there, I like what Seb does at the end, where it's just kind of, it's not the John Legend jazz, even though that's what he's like famous for by the end of the movie. It's still like the classic-y stuff. So I would like kind of
Mm-hmm.
like the smooth, nothing too crazy. Just like it's a jazz club. It's classy. That's the whole point. So
Yeah,
G's would be a classy establishment, not like a black tie, but like show up in a blazers, like suit coat type thing.
nice.
Yeah,
Well, should I
what
just
would
keep the theme and call it Nats?
I guess. That's is weird though, because that's like
It's
the
like the
bug.
bug.
Yeah.
I don't know what mine would be called. Probably.
Rays.
Ooh, Raise is good actually. That's my
hmm
middle name for those who don't know. But then that just made me think of Sunny Eclipse at Disney World. Do you know who that is? At Cosmic
Yeah.
Rays.
Uh-huh.
Cosmic Rays. That's what my jazz club would be called. Stay on theme with the Disney. Cosmic
hmm
Rays and Sunny Eclipse will be performing, so
That
his
just reminds
jazz
me of Sunny
music.
with the Chance.
Wow, we're all over the place.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Beautiful. And then the other question I have is, if you were to write a one woman or one man show, what would it be about? Personally,
Huh.
I've never seen one or cared to, watch one because I feel like
Yeah.
they're usually trash, but go
hmm
ahead.
And I feel like I don't really know what type of story can be told with the one woman or one man show, because we don't really see what Mia's really is. It's just kind of
Mm-hmm.
implied of like girl in Paris.
Yeah.
Um, but I feel like my one man show would just be, I feel like I'd try to make it more comedic, and it would be like me before a date, where I'm just
Mm.
like my mind is just going through every negative possibility. I'm just like pooping my pants, trying on different outfits, and just like kind of losing my mind. And I feel like that'd be pretty funny.
I like it.
hmm
You would do a comedy show.
Yep.
I think that might be more successful than a drama.
Yeah, definitely.
If I were to do a one woman show, what would it be about? Probably, honestly, I'm like, I don't even know. I would just be in I feel like mine would probably be similar to Mia's, just like in,
hmm
because I mean, I feel like with a one person show, you would have to stay in the same setting because if you go anywhere else, there's bound to have people be there. So you would have to like introduce new
Yeah.
characters. But I think just like one room, like my bedroom, and then there'd probably be some comedy in there,
Yeah.
but it'd probably just be a take on a dramatized version of my life of some sort. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like the date idea. Probably
hmm
have some of that in there. Probably just a girl in her 20s trying to figure out life, which is what I'm doing now. So
Yeah. In Utah Valley.
in Utah, yeah, we could get some good stuff in Utah.
Yeah.
I
There's a
also do
lot of
think
good
like with
jokes.
with technology and stuff, you could get a lot of funny stuff in there because you could like use that to your advantage of like, reading texts or something. So then it's still you.
Yeah.
It's still a one person show, but you can like introduce different things. Because how are you supposed to even do that? That sounds
don't know.
awful. Like, especially for like a long period of time, like an hour-long show of just one actor.
Yeah.
Oof, that sounds like my nightmare.
Just a monologue for an hour or so.
Yeah, ain't no way. Good for
Yeah.
her though.
Yeah,
Got
good
her
for
places.
Mia. Yeah.
Got her places.
So you talked about like technology and how that could do like text message and stuff. But don't you hate like in movies when they do the text bubbles or whatever?
Yes, but that's because that's like an editing thing though. I don't care if they use it like to like I don't care if they use it as communication because like or like I'd rather it be a phone call. Like if we're going to use it then like be on the phone and chat. Like
Yeah.
I hate when they're like scrolling through social media and then they put like the like screen like off to the side of like what they're seeing and I'm like, ugh, that's so ugly. It's
their
ugly.
feed is not
It's
a
gonna
normal feed
it's just
either.
gonna date movies so bad.
Yeah,
too,
definitely.
I feel like. So I'm just like it's just not I hate it.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like you can use it well.
Yeah, like it can be done well, but like you said, it just dates it horribly, which who knows, maybe
No,
that'll be part of
totally.
the charm in
Yeah,
20
who
years
knows?
or whatever.
But I also think like even now you go back and watch movies like cheesy movies that use that in like 2012 and stuff and it's like, "Oh my gosh, that's what Instagram used to look like." You know what I mean?
The old logo and stuff.
Yeah. So, I think in a play it would work better
Yeah.
cuz then you're
Especially
not seeing it.
one woman.
Yeah, you would
play,
have to you'd have to bring something into it.
Yeah, definitely.
Emails or something, I don't know.
This is random, but that just reminded me. So you know about like the Stranger Things like stage play or whatever?
Yeah.
So it's on Broadway now, and I've seen stuff about it for like years since it started in the West End or whatever, and I've always been like what is this about? Because it is canon to the show. And so I went and last night I read up on like what the story is. And it's like kind of mid, not going to lie, but the like lore and stuff that it adds to Stranger Things is super interesting cuz Henry or Vecna is the main character of the show and it's like his origin story. And so they this is a very big tangent, but I just need to
I was
talk
going to say
about
I don't
this.
know where this came from, but keep going.
Just because we're talking about like stage plays, and it implies that like Henry wasn't like evil from the beginning, how it is in the show where Vecna's monologuing and he's like, I just hated everything and I love Vecna, but he's like, I hated everything and I just wanted to take over humanity. In the show, we learned that when he was a kid, he had like an encounter with the Mind Flayer where the Mind Flayer like put stuff in him, almost like Will in season 2, and that kind of just like poisoned him. And the Mind Flayer can like take control of him, so he let the Mind Flayer take control of him to kill his family and stuff like that. And
That's
it's like,
canon?
yeah, so it's
And
canon.
they're not going to show us that?
Well, that's the thing. It's like it's signed off by the Duffer Brothers. One of the writers, like the writer of the show, is like the main writer or one of the big staff writers on the series, and so it implies that the Mind Flayer is still the one like fully in control, and Vecna really is just like
So
his
Vecna is
5-star
just
general.
a piece.
Yeah, and I really
Okay.
like that idea because I like the Mind Flayer as just like this ethereal being that only like that just is using Vecna and stuff like that. But the show implies that Vecna's in control of the Mind Flayer, so I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
because that's what I thought was happening, but I
Yeah.
guess
We'll see in
guess
season
no.
5. But
interesting.
anyways, that was a big tangent, but I just want to
Well,
talk about
I'm
that.
kind of glad you told me that because I think it makes a lot more sense for we're actually rewatching Stranger Things right now.
Oh,
I think
really?
it makes a lot more sense for the Mind Flayer to be in charge
Mm-hmm.
than for Vecna because I was like the Upside Down had to have existed before
Yeah.
Vecna. That's just I fear that's
Yeah.
common sense. But I also am just like, but why does it feel like Vecna is supposed to be like in charge?
Yeah.
So I literally last night we were watching it and I was like, does the Upside Down make sense to anybody? And I was like, what's going on? And my family was like, well, it's just an alternate dimension. And I was like, that's not really what I'm asking, but
Yeah.
okay, I feel like that helps make it make more sense. So I'm like, I'm hoping they
Yeah.
take that and put it in the new season because if not, then I think everybody's gonna be a little confused.
The Duffer Brothers have said that season 5 is going to focus more on like the origins of the Upside Down, because season 4 touches on it. Like
But
when
not a
Vecna gets
lot,
like
yeah.
sent into the portal. According to the Wikipedia on the play and the show, like where Vecna ends up, where he finds the Mind Flayer and the clouds and stuff and forms it into the spider, which we learn in the play that those clouds already were sentient, and then he just forms it into the like spidery shape.
So like they're
Um,
like maybe is it a symbiotic relationship?
yeah. So when I read up more on it, it's what it is Vecna and the Mind Flayer are like constantly like almost at odds with each other, where Vecna wants control of the hive mind, but the Mind Flayer wants control of the hive mind. And the play in some like random VR game that came out a while ago, where like you play as Vecna, shows like the Mind Flayer every time Vecna tried to like take over the hive mind, the Mind Flayer would like just force him to relive like bad memories and stuff. And so that's why in the show, this is what the Wikipedia explained, is that's why in the show Vecna believes that he's in control, and Vecna like doesn't remember when he was a little kid and encountered the Mind Flayer, because the Mind Flayer is just like messing with his head. But I don't fully know if like that's really what the show's gonna do, or if this is just like the kind of side stories, like other media that's being made. I really want it to be like this because I think that'd make it super interesting. But
Well,
also
La La Land featuring Stranger
Stranger
Things.
Things. Yeah, I'll put that in the description. It'll be funny. Yeah, the play. If you want to go see it, listener, you totally can. But from what I read on it, it's like it adds some cool, interesting lore on like Henry Creel and his family. There's stuff about Dr. Brenner that kind of we learn about what his motives are and stuff like that. But also just Joyce, Bob, and Hopper are just there. Like they have nothing
no
to
reason.
contribute. It's just high school versions of them. And it's like, okay, cool, I guess. But anyways, that was our Stranger Things tangent.
Love it.
Yes.
Okay, well, shall we continue to La La Land?
Let's go.
Okay. For those who haven't seen it, which if you haven't seen it, where have you been for 6 years, 7 years?
Yeah.
Like
Around that time.
this has been here. But the description of the movie is Sebastian, played by Ryan Gosling, and Mia, played by Emma Stone, are drawn together by their common desire to do what they love. But as success mounts, they are faced with decisions that begin to fray their whoa, a lot of F's in there, that begin to fray the fragile fabric of their love affair and the dreams they worked so hard to maintain in each other. Oh my gosh, this is not going well. And the dreams they work so hard to maintain in each other threaten to rip them apart.
Here, two people with dreams in LA get into a relationship. Problems ensue.
Problems happen.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Again, waking up. Guys, we can't do it at this time again. Next time. Okay, amazing. So, should we start on our usual, like, order? Just go right into plot?
Yeah, I think I do have, because I said last time I wanted to share a couple fun facts about the movies we
Oh yes,
watch
please,
now.
please share.
And so I have two main ones. The first one is Damien Chazelle, the director of this movie. Originally, like he wanted to make this movie for a long time, but I could be misremembering it. But from what I remember, he wanted to make La La Land for a long time, but obviously didn't have the budget or the means to. So he first made the movie Whiplash, which, if you haven't seen Whiplash, is also a fantastic movie. Like on
Is that the
par with
drumming
this
one?
movie. Yeah.
Okay, with Miles Teller?
Yeah, Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons. It has one of my favorite movie endings of all time. And so he made that movie, which got super successful, which then allowed him to be able to make La La Land. So La La Land was always like his baby. And to get to that, he made Whiplash first. So if you want to see his roots, where he started, watch Whiplash, which is also an Oscar-winning fantastic movie in its own right. But my second fun fact, which this one is crazy. So originally, the part of Mia was offered to Emma Watson as opposed to Emma Stone. And Emma Watson turned it down to play Belle in Beauty and the Beast. And then Emma Stone was given the role.
Wow.
Which, when you think about that, it's like, what would that movie even look like if Emma Watson was in it?
Well, what's that one drama that Emma Watson did with Logan Lerman? Perks of Being a Wildflower?
Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Wallflower, yes.
Yeah.
She's really good in that. So like I feel like
Mm.
she could do it, but I don't think that she would have the comedy that Emma Stone has.
No, Emma Stone brings a lot of, yeah, just like her like body language and stuff is very
Mhm.
funny in this movie.
Yeah. No, Emma Stone all the way. Plus her and
Mm.
Ryan Gosling are just so good in movies
Yeah.
together. They're in several. I think they're in like a well, they're in this, and then they're in Crazy Stupid Love, which is
Mm.
hilarious, and I love that movie.
So funny.
And then they're in like a gangster movie that I haven't seen together. So
Mm.
they've played a couple several
Lovers.
times.
Yes.
Yes. Well, cool. Thanks for those fun facts, G.
Mm-hmm.
Well, going right into it, let's talk about plot first. I'll start with my score, which I gave extra large bucket with extra butter. What do you say, Garrett?
I said large bucket with extra butter.
Love it.
Um, I think similar to what we talked about last week with Marriage Story, there's a plot here, and there's way more of a plot, obviously, here than there is in Marriage Story. But
Definitely.
I, yeah, I think this is just a very character movie over plot movie. But that's like the plot is still really good in this.
Yes. What are
Hmm.
your favorite takeaways from the plot?
I really like how it's structured with the seasons. Damien Chazelle does something
Mm.
like that with Whiplash as well. Like each season is like a different section of the story, and it's like the changing of the seasons, not only in the world but also their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like at the very beginning when we first go through like a day in Mia's life, and then she walks in on Sebastian playing the piano at the like restaurant, and then we go back in time and see the day in Sebastian's perspective and how
Mm-hmm.
that like inevitably caused them to cross paths. I really liked that. Because sometimes a flashback scene like that is kind of like monotonous, and it's like, okay, I don't really
We've
like.
seen this.
Yeah, we've seen this before. There's only a few movies that I really like it in. One is Hoodwinked, and the other is La La
Hoodwinked
Land.
is fire.
Yeah.
We should do that. We should
Hmm.
do that movie. Well, yeah, I agree. I love it. I think that the setup of it is really cool. Just the whole plot of both of them following their passions and dreams while also trying to, uh, figure out their relationship. It's quite
Yeah.
interesting. I do think that it is more character driven, but I think for a drama, like especially comparing it to Marriage Story, which we just watched. I think that's maybe why I gave it extra large because I was like, oh my gosh, there's something to grasp onto here. Like there's actually a story
It's not
happening.
just misery and depression.
And I do like I think I agree with the timeline structure of it. I think is really cool. You get the full year and then the
Hmm.
flash forward. So yeah, I like that. I also like the yeah, just the glimpse into each of their lives and then how they start going together and then
Hmm.
kind of how they start growing apart again because
Yeah.
it starts with them separate and then finding their way together and then you see a lot of them together and then you start seeing a lot of them apart again and then
Hmm.
that's kind of where it things start to turn again but yeah.
Yeah. And like the whole tragedy of it all is really sad. Like I wouldn't necessarily call this movie, I don't know. I call this movie like the best horror movie ever made because especially as a creative who wants to go into similar fields, it's like this is very scary. But on this rewatch I kind of learned like I love how like the reason they grew apart is because Seb got the like job to be the pianist in John Legend's I can't remember his character's name, so I'm just gonna call him John Legend in John Legend's band because he wanted to be able to provide for Mia and like
Mhm.
show her that he can like do this and can be like there for her and provide for her and stuff. But then that's what directly causes them to kind of have that shift in their
The
relationship.
rift. Yeah.
So it's almost like I don't know, it implies that, and we see in the what if scenario at the very end that they could have worked out
Mhm.
almost like they could have been able to do it. But that kind of leads into favorite scene a little here, which is the ending. I think the ending is
Mhm.
spectacular. And I really love the way that they do the what if ending because it's in the perspective of Mia. because it's like if Mia got her way, if she was the one to be able to follow her dream completely, and Sebastian was just the supportive husband for her, because you see like in the what if scenario at the end, it's always like she's going to Paris, she's in these movies, Sebastian is just like there as her husband, or he's just there on dates with her, he's like watching her perform. Like I really like how it's her perspective, because he's the one playing the music and we're just in her head of her seeing this is what life could have been like.
Yeah.
And so I really like that, because it shows even in her perfect reality, he still would have had to sacrifice.
Yeah, she gets her dreams.
Yeah.
Which, it's kind of interesting. I thought this this time that I watched it, that in that flashback, which I also would probably, or in the what if, not flashback, in her what if, her, some of the things that happened for her to get to where she was, like, only would have happened if everything happened the way that it did. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, because she still kept in parts, like her getting the audition and stuff. And I'm like, well, would you have gotten the audition if there were that many people in the theater for your one-woman show and it was that successful and all of those things happened? Or did you get that audition because it didn't do as well and you just, like, that one lady did happen to be there and saw your potential? You know what I mean? So I'm like, I don't know. I think it's interesting that she kept in the parts that were good from her story. But that I'm like, I don't know if that would have happened if Sebastian wasn't also following his dreams in the way that he was. I mean, and he wasn't really following his dreams, honestly. He was just trying to provide, like, with the whole John Legend situation.
Yeah.
Him being in that, like, pop jazz band.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting, too, that she kept some of those things that I'm like, Like, I'm glad that's, like, but, like, would that actually have happened?
Yeah.
But,
and, like, that's
anyways.
it's cool because it shows, like, I love when movies do this. The only other one that I can, like, really think of that does it super well is 500 Days of Summer. Which,
I love that movie.
That movie is so good, where it shows, like, the expectation versus the reality. And you see, like, there's some things, like you were saying, in Mia's what if scenario where she's practically just remembering things, and then as it goes, it turns into, like, okay, just what potentially could have happened.
Could have happened, yeah.
But at the very beginning of the scenario, when they first, like, meet officially at the jazz,
they're already in love.
They're, like, making out already.
Yeah.
And it's, like, just the romanticized version of, like, what she remembers it as. Not that she necessarily, like, I'm sure she remembers that they didn't actually kiss there, but that's just how she feels. Like, it felt like that magical and that good. We'll probably be returning to the scene several times throughout this episode. But
yeah. No, I love that. I think that, it's funny because that's what my brain was that was what was happening in my brain as I was watching this. I was like, okay, well, it's like you're remembering things, you're romanticizing what actually happened, keeping the good parts, but then also some of the things the good parts wouldn't have happened without the bad parts. And so it's like, but I think we all do it, which is what's so interesting, is that we always are, like, I don't know. I always am, like, romanticizing little things that happen in my life 100%. that I'm like, well, thinking through scenarios and whatever and what ifs and all this. And, like, I know we all have had these visions, these what if visions happening in our brains at some point or another. And it's funny because it's not reality. So, but
exactly.
And in order for them to both achieve their dreams, it had to have happened the way that it did. Whether they thought and clearly in Mia's what if scenario, she wasn't willing to sacrifice her dream. So it's like, what makes it any different in Seb's, where he's watching, like, maybe he's going through the same scenario in his brain, but he's doing all the things that he needs to do to get to where he is, and she's sacrificing. So it's like, that's why it's hard. It needed to happen, but it sucks. It is a horror story for sure.
Yeah. And I think, like, the hopeful aspect of it all is, well, first, one more thing on the romanticized thing. I think that's perfectly illustrated in, like, a small detail where in her like in her reality with her actual husband, when they go to the jazz club, like they seem like they're in a very loving, caring relationship. They seem to really actually care about each other, but they're just like sitting there watching, just like a normal average couple on a date. But then in her, what if version, she's like all like curled up next to Seb, like on the
Yeah.
chair, like watching it, and it's like that's just what it's exactly the movie version of love, the romanticized version of love, not the reality of it. But anyways, the hopeful version of, or the hopeful aspect of the story is that I love, which is like kind of the whole theme, is how they couldn't have worked out just because obviously they had such different dreams and stuff like that. But both of them helped each other get to where they wanted to be. Like it's because of that relationship that they did get pushed to where they ended up being able to accomplish their dreams.
Yeah. Neither of them
So
could have
it's-
gotten there without each other.
Exactly. And so that's like the whole kind of theme of the movie, from what I interpret it as, is, some people in your life are just there, not just there, but are there to help you move forward with your dreams and help to push you forward. Even if it's romantically, if it's familial, whatever it may be, there's some people that are put into your life that you might want more out of that relationship. And you might even regret afterwards, like, I wish that this could have gone better. But it's because of what that relationship taught you, what you learned in that relationship, what that person gave you, that helped you move forward and get to where you wanted to be. And so I think that's like the hopeful aspect of it is, yes, it's really, really sad that they didn't end up together, but they did still accomplish their dreams and still are both living very happy lives, presumably.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, that's our favorite scene collectively. Did you have a least favorite scene?
I don't like, which this is the point of the scene, I don't like the first time Mia auditions and she's like on the phone and she's starting to cry and it's like this super dramatic moment, and then just somebody walks in on her and just talks to the people, the auditioners or whatever.
Yeah, the casting directors or whatever it is.
Yeah, casting directors. And she's just like, Mia's just like, and I love
she's
how
like
we,
still on the phone.
yeah, we just stay on her reaction to it all. Like we don't break from her, so we just see Emma Stone's acting of just like,
She's like, do I
don't
put
really-
the phone
yeah,
down?
Do I put the
Like-
phone down? Like, what do you... And that scene just makes me cringe. Like, it's so awkward. But I've heard it's very, very accurate to like actual...
Yeah, I heard a lot
auditioning.
of those audition stories that they have in there from like the self-tapes and stuff, like, or
Yeah.
just like her in audition rooms are actually real stories from people that like they have had
Yeah.
like heard, I don't know, from the industry.
Uh-huh. I think Emma Stone's even, like, that scene specifically, if I'm remembering correctly, is from like an actual experience Emma Stone
That
had.
she had, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe not our like a good scene, but makes us cringe scene. Maybe that
Yeah.
should be a category.
Yeah.
A scene that we don't like because it makes us sad or it makes us cringe.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing that is coming to my brain right now is I don't love in the, what is the name of the song? Hold. It's it's a song at the party.
Oh, someone in the crowd? Someone in the
Someone
crowd?
in the crowd. I
Yeah.
don't like at the end when they jump into the pool and then it does the spinny camera
Mm-hmm.
because it makes me dizzy. I remember seeing it in the theater for the first time and I was like,
Yeah.
it's like bright and it's like spinning
Mm-hmm.
around like 3 times and you're like, what's going on?
I like how the music like starts again though, like right as the guy hits the water. I really like
I know
that.
there are like, it is a cool thing, but
Yeah.
it's just, if I had to pick something,
Yeah.
I don't like
definitely.
that it makes me dizzy.
All right. Well, moving on to character. What did you give character, Natalie?
I'm just gonna guess. I think it was the same as plot. Yes, extra large bucket with extra butter.
Solid.
I feel like that's pretty much what all of my rankings are gonna be. So, what did you rank it?
I gave it a extra large bucket with extra butter as well.
Love it.
We've already talked a little bit about it, but I just think Mia and Sebastian are very, very, very well written characters. And I think it's perfectly kind of shown in their argument scene at dinner where you kind of get both their perspectives and their but then it just escalates into like, and I think, I don't know, this is kind of how I interpreted it on this watch through when like they've kind of like, they're boiling, and then Seb is like, maybe you just liked me when I like wasn't, when I was like broke because that just made you feel better about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell, like, after she's like, is that what you really think? And he's like, yeah. It's like, I don't know. And
Mm-hmm.
it, like, just the way they both play it, I almost took it as like there almost is just a little bit of truth to what he is saying.
Totally.
And like he knows, like, and I think she's getting called out for that. And she doesn't want to believe that's what it is. But I think just the way Emma Stone plays that scene, it's almost like she's like, maybe he is right.
Yeah.
And like, it's just so sad. But, and then right afterwards, Sebastian's like, he's just like, I don't know. He just doesn't want to, like, because they both still want to preserve their relationship there. But I just really love that scene because it shows you, like, you understand both perspectives of, like,
Mm-hmm.
like, she's like, this isn't your dream. Like, why are you doing this? And he's like, well, I'm doing this for you. Like, I thought you wanted me to do this. You're the one who, and so you just see, like, the positives and negatives of both these characters and, like, the flaws in both of them. And I really, really like that.
Yeah. I also think that they're, like, so, the depth to them is so cool, especially when it comes to their, like, protectiveness over their art. Like, especially at the beginning, like, with Sebastian, like, his whole thing is all about jazz and where it comes from and why it's so important and why people don't appreciate it. And he's, like, teaching Mia all of these things. I didn't like jazz until I saw this movie, and I still don't really, I would never turn on just, like, a jazz radio and listen.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, the whole idea of him being so protective over jazz music in general, and then
What do you mean you don't like jazz?
and then him compromising that in order to, you know, find success and provide, and then her calling him out for it, and then him being like, but this is what you wanted. Like, I thought we want, like, in order to move forward and, like, get to where we need to be and, like, be stable, I was putting my art on the line for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then her, like, doing her play and all of that, which I just think is so, just, it's so cringy to me, the whole one woman play thing, just because I'm like, I feel like can you think of, I don't know that there's ever been a successful one woman show, one man show.
I mean, there maybe has, like, I don't want to say there hasn't been just because I am ignorant about it, but
Yeah, I should have looked it up, but it's just something that, it's so funny because he's telling her, like, do something different that'll make you stand out, and, you know, she's obviously pursuing acting but isn't finding success in it, so then she's like, I'll just do my own thing, this is what Sebastian thinks I should do. And she's obviously, it's very obviously, if you're making a one woman show, it's gonna be very close to your heart. And so I don't know, I think both of their stories are so interesting because I do think art is so personal to the artist, and so seeing them compromise or adjust based off of what they think will help them be successful is interesting, because that's what you kind of have to do, even if it's not really what you want to do. So, yeah. I don't know.
That.
What are your thoughts coming from an artist?
I think the way that they show their passion and love for their art, kind of like you were saying, is really cool, specifically with, again, what you were saying with Sebastian, of how protective he is of jazz. And when he has, like, that stool from that one jazz player and his sister sitting on it, and he's like, no, like, what are you doing? Stop. And
then isn't it in the jazz club at the end?
It's in the jazz club at the very end. And just how, like, I love the scene when it's so relatable when he takes her to the jazz club and he's, like, explaining how jazz works, and, like, she's just like, oh yeah, wow, like, cool. And he's just, like, super,
you don't
like,
get it.
He's, like, not even necessarily like, he is talking to her and he does genuinely want to help her understand it, but it's almost like he's more just, like, he's just so passionate about it himself that he just, like, gets lost in it. And I love that scene because it's very relatable when I'm talking about when I'm on a date or something and someone brings up movies, and then it just
and you're like,
turns into a 45-minute, like,
you're like, let me just take a deep breath.
And then they're like, oh yeah, wow, yeah,
They're like,
yeah.
cool, sweet.
So I love that scene.
It is so funny.
Or go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's funny how we, especially on first dates, and stuff, since we're both in the dating scene right now. I think it's funny that we kind of, I don't know if you're this way, but I like protect the things that I like a little bit close. I hold it a little closer to my heart at the beginning because I'm like, I don't want them to say something that makes me feel like, oh, they don't like that. Because then, like, I don't know, protecting your passions is such a funny concept because it's like you should be passionate about it. I think that's why I love Sebastian so much, is because he is unapologetically in love with jazz. And I think that that's so cool because it's like nobody's like that, really. And I love how he, shares it. And she's like, and then she's not saying anything. And then they get to that part where she's like, I have something I need to tell you.
What do you mean you don't like jazz? How can you not like jazz? I love it. And it's funny because bringing up like being protective of your passions and stuff, this would be really funny if she ends up listening to this. But like how I talked about my personal life on the last one, I'm going to talk about my personal life on this one because it's La La Land. But I'm about to go to a lunch with this one girl, which like she called me earlier and was like, all right, I can meet there. Like we were planning on meeting there at 1. And she was like, well, I can meet there like a little bit earlier. Like right before we recorded, she called me and said this. It's like, could you meet at 12? And then I was like, well, I almost didn't say I'm recording a podcast. I almost like said something else. Like I didn't want to say that, but I did anyways. And she was like, oh, cool. But it was just like I want to be protective of this. Like which is ironic because we post this. Yeah. But it's like, I don't want people to like, kind of, I think when we are protective of our passions, it's almost because we don't want people to judge us based on our passions.
Yeah, totally.
And so I think this movie, like you were saying with Sebastian, shows like when somebody isn't protective of it. Like, yes, he's protective of like jazz as a whole, but he's not afraid to share how much he loves jazz. And that's what attracts people to him, both like obviously Mia, but also how, I mean, at the club and like when we see him just interact with other people really like him because of his passion.
Totally.
And so I think it's a really interesting like confidence booster, like this is like people enjoy when people are passionate about things. And that's something Mia brings up is like people love when people are passionate about stuff. They get passionate about what others are passionate about. And then he goes, not in my experience, which is really good because like, yes, it is in your experience because she has become like started to like jazz because of your passion. And so I really like that scene. Anyways, that was another tangent, but
no, I love it. I'm the same way about the pod too, Garrett. I'm always like, I'm recording a podcast. So we're doing it for the love, for you guys out there and for us because we love it. And
it's funny because we put it on our like, social media stories, but then when we have to tell somebody that,
but then you have to look at them in their eye and you're like, I'm recording a podcast. And they're like, what? Nobody has ever been like judgy about it. I got to put that out there, but I always am like, are they though?
It's like my end. It's like our end is like we're worried about like in reality when somebody tells me something similar, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like I'm never like, wow, that person is doing this.
They're doing a podcast.
Yeah, but in my head, I think that that's what people are gonna think, and
totally. I'm like, what are they thinking? But anyways. Glad we're on the same page there, G.
Yep. Last thing I'll say about character.
Go for it.
Which we haven't brought this up at all yet. The comedy in this movie is so funny.
So good.
Like, both Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone are incredible comedic actors. And you always like forget it because like even Ryan Gosling these days is more in comedy movies, but it still feels like he's a dramatic actor. But then you see him in a comedy and he's like the best one there.
So
like
good.
His timing is so good on things. Like the what when she's like I'm not gonna go like to this audition and he just can't even like fathom that. And I love the line when after the audition and they're sitting on that bench and she's like, yeah, they're gonna tell me in a few days, and he's like, oh, you got it. And she's like, no, like I don't think I have. And he's like, yes you do, I know these things. Like I just love that line. I think it's hilarious. But comedy in this movie is really good.
Yeah, him and Emma Stone. I love the scene in at the pool when she goes to that party and he's in the band and then she requests Iran. It's so funny. And then she's doing her little dance and singing it and like it's just and his face, it's just so funny. I love it. Her body acting.
I love the Ryan Gosling double take. He does it in a few movies.
Yeah,
Another
where
one
he's
is
like-
The Nice Guys, which he's so good in The Nice Guys. But yeah, when he like looks up at her, then like kind of like looks up at her again, like, oh, that's that chick. Like I love that. It's so funny.
So good. So good.
Mhm.
All right, love it. We got some good things in there. Character, okay. Let's go into aesthetic. Cinematography, editing, all that jazz.
Hey.
Hey. What do you give it, Garrett?
I gave it an extra large bucket with extra butter. I think the aesthetic of this movie is fantastic, and I love it mainly because the movie starts out and it's very classical, like Hollywood musical-esque type stuff, and the colors all are like bright and vibrant, like an old Hollywood musical movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like people are wearing bright dresses, the cars like burst off the screen. Like the LA sky looks beautiful, which you should never be able to say that.
Does not happen.
But then as the movie goes on and as their relationship gets more dicey and more realistic, the colors kind of dim and it's not as bright anymore. And like wear like more like darker colors and it starts to look just like a normal drama. But then at the very end, when they go back in time to the what if scenario, then it becomes fully fledged classic Hollywood musical with the colors and everything. And I just really love how the story is told through the colors and through how much music is in it. Because at the beginning, it's almost like musical number after musical number after musical number for a little bit. And then there's a long stretch where there's not even a single song. And that's when the colors start to dull and things get more dicey. And I really, really like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, amazing. I gave it the same. If anybody doesn't know, this is in my top 4 movies on Letterboxd. So that's why everything's getting all of it. But
Yeah.
extra large bucket, extra butter. I actually noticed color a lot more this watch through. They use primary colors and green in almost every shot.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice that? Have you
now
noticed
that?
that?
Now that
It's
you pointed
blue.
out, it's like, yeah.
It's blue, red, yellow, and then a lot of the times they bring in green, and then there's sometimes a little bit of purple. But even when the color's dim, they're using those colors. I tried to look it up because I was like, does this have some sort of meaning or anything? And I probably looked it up for 2 seconds, and then I couldn't really find anything. So I'm like just taking that as that it doesn't. But I thought it was really cool to watch because I was like noticing that a lot more. Please tell me, what is your thoughts?
So I believe it's supposed to be like Technicolor, like how
yes,
movies first got into color is Technicolor with those main red, blue, yellow, green type colors, like just the classic-y ones.
Yeah.
So I think it's supposed to be like since this movie is very old Hollywood feeling,
old Hollywood,
it's supposed to feel
which it makes it
Technicolor-y.
feel old Technicolor.
Yeah.
You know, I was trying to find if it meant anything to the story at all, which I don't think it does. I mean, they use different colors bring up different emotions. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think they use it well as the story goes on. But anyways, I do think that this is a really well shot. And I always, like with editing and cinematography and stuff, I know that we all probably have our own ways of viewing that. For me, if there's anything that takes me out of the movie, I'm always like, ooh.
Yeah.
Like, there it is. Like, if I can ever be like, but there's nothing in this movie that takes me out of it. Like, I'm fully in it the entire time. So, and it's beautiful to look at. So,
Yeah.
love it.
I think one of the most iconic, if not the most iconic scene of the movie, which is the poster of their first dance and musical number together. The LA sky in that shot or in that scene,
It's crazy. Like
is
the purple.
so beautiful. Yeah, it's so
It's crazy.
Good. It's
Yeah.
like, it has never once looked like that ever.
No.
And it's just a testament to the aesthetic of this movie, I think.
Yeah. No, and they have so many of those like beautiful like scenes. Have you seen on TikTok when they do the vertical edits of movies where they do like, I don't know if it's like, I'm sure it's AI. And like the ones of La La Land hit every time just because it's such a beautiful movie. But cool. Aesthetic we appreciate and enjoy in this movie, obviously.
100%.
Okay, I want to save music for maybe the end, so let's go to entertainment value. What do you say?
I think
I
this
say
movie
this is
is,
entertaining. Yeah.
yeah, this is an incredibly entertaining movie. I don't know if I know, like, there are people that don't like this movie, like we talked about at the end of the last episode, just because the ending is sad. And if you're one of those people, grow up. Um, but like, I don't know a single person who's watched this movie and hasn't been entertained, who's been like
Totally.
bored of it. And I
Yeah.
think this is a very entertaining movie.
I also think that um it means a lot to this movie that it is so rewatchable.
100%.
Like I think the fact that it is more of a drama, because I feel like personally when it's like like Marriage Story, I ain't gonna be
Hmm.
watching that again. I don't really want to.
Uh,
But I think that to have a movie with such a tragic ending and then have it be so rewatchable is
a
such a
testament.
testament to how good this movie is.
Yeah.
And thinking of that, also tragic stories that are very rewatchable. Me and Garrett went and saw Revenge of the Sith this last week together for the 25th anniversary? 20th?
20th, I think.
20th?
Yeah.
And that was really good. Anyways, little tangent there. But yeah,
Mhm.
I think it's super entertaining. I think the music makes it super entertaining. I think the acting makes it super entertaining because Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone are just so good. So that's my thoughts.
Mhm. I think kind of everything you said. It is so interesting how rewatchable this movie is for like everyone. And that's
Mm-hmm.
another thing I was going to say is like, I don't care if you are, a musical theater nerd, if you are a sports person, I don't care what you are. Like, everybody, I think, can be entertained by this movie. Everybody can
Mm-hmm.
be touched by this movie.
And I think a
Um,
lot of people are like everybody in my family likes this movie for
yeah.
different reasons and
Hmm.
like I don't really know. I know a couple people that don't like it, but
Hmm.
again, grow up.
Yeah.
Put your
And
big boy
even
pants on.
like I can respect like if you just don't like a movie, you just don't like a movie. Like you can have your opinions on it, but like people who don't like this movie who call it a bad movie, that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, come on, like this is not a bad movie. Like what? So if you just don't like this movie, it's just not for you. I can
Then
respect that.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if
But
you
most
call
of
this
the
movie a
time when
bad
people say
movie,
they don't like this movie, it's not because of
yeah,
anything except for the ending.
yeah. Which then they
But
miss the whole point of what the story is doing, and it's
exactly.
just like,
Exactly.
did you watch the movie? But
Exactly, Garrett. I know. Okay.
yeah.
Well, cool. I said it. We just went over entertainment value. When do you think is the best time to watch this movie, Garrett?
I feel like I was trying to think of a season, but because this movie goes through all the seasons, I feel like that's another
Year
reason why it's so
round.
rewatchable is because it's year round. So I'm similar to Marriage Story. I'm going more with like a vibe or feeling, and I feel like if you're in the mood for just a classic, like feeling movie, but you don't want to watch an old movie, watch La La Land. Like if you're in the
Yes.
mood for either just something entertaining, something with catchy music or fun characters, you watch this movie. If you're in the mood to cry, you watch this movie. And I
Mm-hmm.
think kind of tying these things together, that's another reason why it's so rewatchable is because you can watch this movie, I feel like, with any mood. Like if you're
Mm-hmm.
sad, watch La La Land. If you're happy, watch La La Land. If you're angry, watch La La Land. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
something in it for you because it's like
Yeah.
every range of emotion.
Yeah, it encapsulates so many different things,
Hmm.
so many different emotions, so many different vibes. I feel like this is just the vibe of it is just like life.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like just live. I love it. Okay, I would agree. I don't think that I will say this movie came out I think in December of whatever year it came out in, or because I remember the first time I saw this, I saw it on my birthday, December 28th, and so there is something about it that since that was the first time I saw it, I do tend to lean towards watching it in the winter, and I do
Yeah.
think that because of that, it starts in the winter and it ends in the winter. It came out in the winter. But I do think that you could really watch it anytime because it does go through the entire year. It has all the good vibes.
Yeah.
So I love it. Cool.
Nice.
Okay. I want to go into music because that is a very big part of this. It is a musical. I gave it extra large popcorn bucket with extra butter.
Uh-huh.
I remember that when I first saw this movie, everybody, and like when it came out, like everybody was listening to this music and it was on everywhere. Like, I remember, it's kind of random. I was at like a youth group meeting thing and it was like playing in the background while we were making like cookies. I know that our ward did like our stake actually did, so like our big church group did a like lip sync battle, and our cousin
Yeah.
Tyler actually did one of the songs. It was
What?
like a big, yes. I need to
Do
find
we
a video
have
of it.
do we have recording of this?
I'm pretty sure we have recording of it.
What?
But I'm pretty sure Tyler was Ryan Gosling. And I might be remembering that wrong, but I feel like that's something I wouldn't forget. And he did City of Stars. Like he was like on, like he was doing City of Stars. It's so funny. And so like
I need to see
this was everywhere. And I think the
Yes.
music is so good. It's such a good vibe. But yes, what do you give it? What say you?
I give it a large bucket with extra butter. The only reason I don't think it's an extra large bucket is I think the weakest part of this or of the music of this movie is the vocals. Because I don't think Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling are the best singer. Like they are good singers, don't get me wrong. But I like a lot more of the chorusy, like for musical stuff, I like the more chorusy songs, like the opening one, and then Someone in the Crowd I really, really like. But like I just think, and it's not like this movie I think part of the point is that they're not perfect singers. And they still sing great.
Yeah.
It's just they are very realistic. Like you can tell they're not Broadway trained singers, obviously.
Totally. They're not, and they're not.
Yeah.
And I get that. I think the music is written by the same people who did Dear Evan Hansen and I believe Greatest Showman? Let me look. Keep going.
But the reason I give it a extra butter is because I think the instrumentals of this movie are unreal. Like I think the reason it's so iconic is because like there's a lot of songs which a good majority of it is just the instrumental, it's just the jazz. Someone in the Crowd has such a good I just love the instrumental part of that song. I really love the City of Stars tune is really, really good. And that song is really good despite me thinking Ryan Gosling isn't the greatest singer. That song is really good.
What do you mean? I'm Just Ken.
Yes, another song that's fantastic, but like it's funny because he's like not that great of a singer, I think. And the first time I watched this movie, I didn't really like the audition song Mia sings. This time around, I really, really liked that song, and I like the story that was told through it. And obviously, the ending scene where it just goes through the instrumentals of every song from the movie is really, really, really good. So the reason I give it extra butter is because of the instrumentals. I think the main score of this movie is really, really, really good.
Yeah, no, and it gets stuck in your head. Like, as we've
Definitely.
been thinking about all these songs, I've been thinking about all of the music, and it's stuck in my head. I do agree with the audition song. I did not like that one at first, but I do think that because of the storytelling it provides, I ended up liking it a lot more. Especially this time around, I think it hit me a little more.
Definitely.
So.
Same.
But yes, I love it.
What's your favorite song?
My favorite song in La La Land is A Lovely Night. It's the poster song. I mean, I think all of them are amazing, but I love the like back and forth banter in the song, and I love the like tap dancing, and the lyrics are just so funny. I think it gives a really good look at their relationship, especially at the beginning. It's kind of enemies to lovers.
Yeah.
So I really like that song. What's your favorite song?
My favorite song. See, what's the one you just said? I can't remember what it's called.
Lovely Night.
Lovely Night. I love the dancing in that. And like you said, I love the lyrics and stuff. And I think one day that might be my favorite one, but I honestly forgot that they even sung at that part until they started singing, and I was like, oh yeah, this part is a song, it's not just a dance. but I really love that one. And I love City of Stars, like I said. But I think my favorite one is Someone in the Crowd because of
Yeah,
the
that one is a
music,
good one.
because of the dancing, which is ironic because the song is all. I love when songs do this. Another example is Dancing Through Life, where the lyrics or the instrumentals and the dancing is very like happy and upbeat. But then if you actually read the lyrics, it's like, whoa, that's sad. Or like what? Like Dancing Through Life, Fiero was just talking about how like it's just the nihilistic point of view of like nothing matters, so like we can just do whatever we want and stuff like that. And it's a really good kind of dive into his character and something that I just really like when songs do that. And Someone in the Crowd is another example because the lyric or the music and the dancing is super fun. The vibes are awesome, but then the lyrics are people talking about finding somebody to sleep with so then they can get you where you want to be in Hollywood. Like that's the message of the song. Like someone in the crowd to take you where you want to go. Like, and then they talk about like doing things so that person will help you get there. And then obviously while Mia's like walking through the party in the slow-mo part, and there's just a bunch of people like dancing together in very sensual ways. And it's like, yeah, the whole point of that song is these girls are saying, we got to go to this party so we can find somebody to sleep with
to
get us where we want to go. But then just
I never even thought of that. The vibe of it is just so fun.
The vibe is so fun. So I love it. Like I just love when songs have the duality of it sounds happy and like the vibes are awesome, but then if you actually listen to the lyrics, really? It's like, wait a second, what is this? So I really love that song.
Nice. I'm sorry I was kind of in and out of that while you were talking, but I was on a hunt because I was like, did I make this up? Like I thought they did Dear Evan Hansen and everything, and they did. The lyric writers, not the actual like composer, but like their names are Pasek and Paul. They also did Dear Evan Hansen, and they worked on the Aladdin soundtrack. And
did they do Greatest Showman?
Yes, A Million Dreams, I believe. Let me look. They got a lot going on for them.
Yeah.
Dear Evan Hansen, talented. Films they did, La La Land, The Greatest Showman. So they did like This Is Me and stuff. So really cool. I love good songwriters, and I think they're really interesting because my thought is on them that all of their music sounds so different from each other. Yeah. Whereas I feel like, when Lin-Manuel Miranda has put his feet into a project. No shade to him. I am a Lin-Manuel Miranda defender. I love his music. I think it hits every time. But you can tell when he's written music. It's like you can almost hear him in the song. You're like, are you
even
singing
when he's
that,
not
Lin?
Singing, yeah. It's
I'm like, did you put your vocals on there a little bit? Be honest.
And I think what makes, because I would never be able to know that this unless reading it or because you told me that the people who wrote the lyrics of this movie are the ones who wrote Dear Evan Hansen and Greatest Showman. If you told me like, oh, they wrote Dear Evan Hansen and Greatest Showman, I'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like they somewhat sound similar. But in this movie, it sounds way different. And I think, kind of like what you pointed out, it's because a lot of the score, a lot of the instrumentals.
Yes, which is because of Justin Hurwitz, I think is his name.
He's a very good composer.
He's insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this, and just the vibe he captured with it too is just so amazing. Like I could listen. I have this music saved on my Spotify, the ones with lyrics and the ones without. I have all of the I have the actual score saved for and it'll pop up on my shuffled playlist because I literally just have it liked in my library, but I also have it on playlists for studying and stuff and my favorite movie scores. But anyways, I love the music in this. I think it's perfection.
One last story I have about the music before we get to our overall thoughts, which I just remembered, is so when I was on a mission for our church, I wasn't able to you aren't really able to listen to music that isn't kind of church related, and you can listen to some movie instrumentals and stuff, but you can't really listen to stuff beyond that. And so my first about 6 weeks, I was just with two companions who, my main trainer, you called them, just didn't really listen to any music at all. And so for my first 6 weeks as a missionary, I just wasn't really listening to music. And then when he left and it was just me and my other companion, one day we were driving together and he was like, oh, I have this song on my drive we should listen to. And he turned on the last, like the what if scenario music, like that whole score. And we just listened to it like 5 times in a row because it was just like it honestly brought us together, because before then we like weren't really good friends. And then after that we started to become really good friends.
You guys are like bonding over.
What
is it called?
I can't remember what it's called, but like look it up real quick. Cause
is it just Epilogue?
Yeah, I think it's the Epilogue. Like that song literally like got me through those first like couple months as a missionary. And I just had like, and I think it's because of just how magical it sounds and how happy it is and how just emotional it is. So I just have to thank Justin Hurwitz for that.
Shout out Justin Hurwitz for getting G through his mission. I love it. Okay. Well, awesome. Overall score, I don't think it's a surprise since I scored everything else this, but extra large bucket with extra butter. What do you say, Garrett?
Same. Even though I gave some large bucket, I think overall as a package, this is still an extra large bucket with extra butter. I think one of the best movies of our lifetime thus far. I think it's going to be a classic for decades to come. Timeless. This movie is fantastic. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I don't really have any other thoughts. I think we hit all of the marks. I love this movie. Think it's good. Think it's amazing, and I'm so glad we got to watch it. Do you have any final thoughts before you share what our next movie is going to be?
Not off the top of my head. I guess I'm just very eager to learn what Damien Chazelle is going to do next, because after the 1-2 combo, after the 1-2 combo of Whiplash and La La Land, he did First Man, which was a very different movie in comparison to Whiplash and La La Land, which was about Neil Armstrong and landing on the moon, and Ryan Gosling played Neil Armstrong.
Oh,
and it was good, but it was like, it was very dramatic. Me and my dad went and saw it, and it was like a good movie, but it wasn't like, does not hit the same as Whiplash and La La Land. And then he just did, it was like a year or two ago now, Babylon, which was that like movie about like classics, 1920s Hollywood, very, very rated R. Mm-hmm. Like it just like doesn't hide 1920s Hollywood at all. And so I'm very interested to see what he's going to do next. I believe he's already working on some other project. I can't remember what it is, but I think he has so much potential, and just his last two movies haven't been as successful. So I really hope he can, and he's super young. So I think he has a lot of potential, but I'm just very interested to see where he goes. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, Garrett, what are we watching next week? Hopefully it's good.
So I've wanted to do these ones for a long time. This might be a series. We'll probably break it up, but I have never seen this franchise. And I really like that we just did one where we basically agreed the whole time, because I don't think you're going to like this one.
Garrett, why do you always do this?
Because that's
I gotta say, I'm nice to you, and you always be making me watch crap. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
No. This was conceptually, you introduced this podcast to me with the idea of we watch movies that the other person might not like, and then we give our different perspectives.
But you're gonna make me watch a franchise? That's wild.
Like it won't be like this one, and then my next one will be the next one and stuff. Like we'll break it up.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
We are going to watch the first John Wick.
Oh, actually, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I like looking at Keanu Reeves. It's all good.
Yeah. So I'm very excited. I've never seen any of John Wick's.
I think has Brady seen him?
Yeah, Brady loves them.
Brady will be hyped to watch it with me.
Yeah, so I'm very excited to watch them. I've never seen any of them. People say they're like the best action movies ever made, specifically the 3 and 4, the ones that were just released the past couple of years.
Are there 4?
Yeah,
total?
There's 4, and then there's a spin-off with Ana de Armas releasing in a couple months, I think this summer at some point.
Okay.
So,
period.
Very excited to watch those. But yes,
okay, that's
John
not
Wick.
as bad as I thought it was going to be. I was really scared. Had me shaking in my boots.
There's a couple franchises I want to start doing. So
yeah, maybe we start doing some franchises.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be watching some franchises, and you gotta be too. We gotta get some Twilight in there or something.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Hey, if Tyler's making it through, then you can.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I love
Everybody,
it. Okay.
if you haven't watched La La Land, go watch it. Form your own opinions. Watch John Wick, and we'll see you in the next one.
Hooray.